This is the third story in our Fern Hollow stories, just for you. One morning, Rufus Rusty woke up with something dripping on his forehead. Blip, blip, blip. "Oh no!" cried Rufus to his brother, Redvers, who was in the lower bunk. "The roof is leaking." "Never mind," giggled Redvers. "I'm quite dry down here." He was underneath. Rufus leapt out of his soggy bed and ran to tell his mother and father, but they were already running around with pots and pans trying to catch the rain, which was leaking into their bedroom too. It was the same in Dusty's room. "It's hardly worth having a roof at all if it's going to leak like this," said Mrs. Rusty. There they are, running around with their pots and pans. Rufus leapt out of his soggy bed and ran to tell his mother and father, but they were already running around with pots. Oh, I read that one already, didn't I? Eventually, Mr. Rusty managed to find enough pots and pans to catch all the drips. Then, after eating his breakfast, he set off for work at the railway station, where he was the engine driver. As he left, Mr. Rusty closed the front door behind him, and it fell off. Oh, no! All day long things went wrong with Mr. Rusty's house. Soot fell down the chimney, the windows stuck and wouldn't open, Mrs. Rusty fell through the floorboards, which had become rotten. "Oh, I wish I had a new house," she moaned. Well, that night, there was a terrible thunderstorm. Lightning flashed around the sky, and it rained cats and dogs. Funny expression, isn't it? Raining cats and dogs. You see the lightning in the tree? And it's raining and raining and raining. You know what that's like. In the morning, the River Ferny, which had become swollen with all the rain, overflowed and rushed down into the hollow where Mr. Rusty's house stood. The water crept up higher and higher until at last Mr. Rusty and his family had to climb up onto the roof. Here they are, floating on, there's the roof. When Mr. Periwinkle, the postman, came riding down the lane and saw Mr. Rusty and his family all perched on their cottage roof, he was so surprised that he fell off his bicycle. "Don't worry, Mr. Rusty," cried Mr. Periwinkle, scrambling to his feet. "I'll ride over to the fire station and get Alfonso Duff and Mr. Bouncer. They'll know what to do." Well, the Fern Hollow firemen soon arrived and began the rescue operation, extending the ladder on top of the fire engine all the way across the floodwater to the Rusty family's roof. There you can see the fire engine, and it goes all the way across the river to the roof. Rufus and Redvers thought it was all great fun until they both lost their balance as they were climbing along the ladder, and they fell into the water. Mr. Prickles had been watching the rescue and realizing that the Rusty family would now have nowhere to live. He invited them to stay with him for a while. The kind hedgehog soon made a nice warm fire, and Mrs. Prickles gave each of the foxes a bowl of steaming hot soup. Nice. You like steaming hot soup? Later in the day, Mr. Rusty heard a lot of noise outside Mr. Prickles' house and went outside to see what was happening. A little further down the lane, Brock Gruffy, remember Brock? He had the balloon. And a few other animals had started to build Mr. Rusty a new house. Here they are. They're good friends. They're good neighbors. Mr. Rusty set himself to work himself at once. There was plenty to be done. Hammering, sawing, cement to make, bricks to lay. It was a lucky thing for Mr. Rusty and his family that there were so many good friends to help them. Good friends do that, don't they? They help each other out. It took quite a long time to build the house, but each day a little more was done. The walls grew up and the roof was put on. The tiles were laid, the windows and doors were fitted, and at last, Mr. Rusty's new house was finished. These wonderful pictures. Yeah, I think so. Your daddy sure thought so. Of course, all the furniture from the flooded house was useless, but Mrs. Rusty's friends each gave her bits and pieces from their own homes. And Mr. Chips, the woodsman, arrived with lots of tables and chairs and cupboards which he had made. Everybody's helping out the Rustys. That night, Mr. Rusty held a housewarming party to thank all his friends for their kind help. It was a very jolly party. The air around Mr. Rusty's new house was filled with the sounds of singing and laughter, and the lights of the windows twinkled merrily in the darkness. Look, there's Mr. Rusty's new house. And that's the end of the story of Mr. Rusty's new house. And there's the map of Fern Hollow. Soon we're going to take a look at that map. But not for now. I love you.